Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Trades Talk Show, where we look into what happens in the lives of contractors outside of the trade. I'm Amelia Smith, and with me today is Lucas Miller. He was a former sales rep, bringing in over 3 million in sales each year, and now he's creating an even bigger impact in the roofing industry as the owner of Provision Roofing and Restoration. He's a husband, he's a dad, he's a man of faith. Guys, help me welcome Lucas.
Hey guys.
Hey, welcome. It's so good to have you. So tell me, Lucas, you were bringing 3 million as an employee. Like at this point, it's not even the money. How did you even transition over from that to opening your own business, like starting from scratch?
Oh my gosh, so it's really a crazy and incredible story, and then sometimes just reminiscing and thinking about it myself, it just seems very hard to believe. But gosh, I exited the military in 2017. I was part of the United States Air Force as a munition systems specialist. So built bombs and cool stuff like that. And when I got out, I got married right before I got out. So I got married in September of 2017. I separated on December 22nd of 17. And when I separated on December 22nd, I didn't really have a plan. I didn't feel like I was really properly set up or anything like that. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I planned on making a career out of the military, but I didn't land the job that I thought I was going to land when I went in. So when I got out, I remember hearing in the back of my head growing up forever, my mom, she always told me I could sell ice to an Eskimo. So I was like, I don't know. I like talking to people. I'm an energetic, kind of outgoing person naturally. So I figured I'd give it a shot. But getting straight out of the military, having no previous sales experience, it was very, very difficult. I went almost 4 months without a job as soon as I separated from the
Wow.
military, and I was looking, and my first job right out of there, I mean, to be honest with you, was security. So I got a, part-time security gig. I was living in Florida in the Panama City Beach area. It was an easy thing to land. I'm a bigger guy, so they saw me and they're like, "Yeah, you're hired. No problem. No problem there at all." So did that for a little bit, but I mean, I was looking for something more steady, and I ended up landing my first job in timeshare marketing for
Mm.
Wyndham Destinations. It would be, I believe nowadays it's Wyndham Vacation Ownership. But story goes is I did my training. It was about a 2 weeks training process. I was able to become the marketer of the week my first week in
Wow.
timeshare marketing. I was the marketer of the month the first month there as well. But I always had this, piece of my heart that said I wanted to help people. And I was a car lover. So I know a lot of people in the roofing industry, at least the people I've met, have came from the car business. But that's where my story began was with timeshare marketing, and I always felt this want to help people, and I was very educated and very knowledgeable. I grew up racing cars, building cars in the garage with my dad. So um, I one day was driving down the road. I had a little bit of time off, and I had to go get an oil change. I pulled into a dealership and so on and so forth. I ended up landing a job at a Toyota dealership. It was the same thing there. I did a month's worth of training. I ended up being salesman of the month, sold 26 cars in my first month. Became a training manager for the company about a year later. At gosh, I was 22 years old at the time. Um, and I think that's still one of the most incredible opportunities I ever had because it led me to where I am today. And the first person I ever trained is now a finance manager over there, and that's really incredible. I know that's not, what we're here talking about, but I'm
It's
I'm
okay.
just kind
It's
of
okay. It's your
reminiscing
story. That's
on,
fine.
yeah, I'm kind of
Yeah.
reminiscing on like where it all came about, and I just love it. I love it. It was a incredible journey, but a hard journey at that.
The
So
mamas
that
always
was,
the moms always know, like you could see it in your kid when your kid is little, like what it is that they have that's a beautiful asset. So
yes,
I hear you about your mom seeing it.
yeah. So. I became a training manager there, and then, gosh, into 2018, we had Hurricane Michael. My
Mm.
wife, I just found out my wife was pregnant. We had Hurricane Michael, and it destroyed both of our jobs. My job at the
Oh no.
dealership, it was just gone. We're fortunate that the dealership that I worked for that continued to pay us as we helped to clean up the dealership and pull everything back together. But my wife's job was gone, and she was pregnant, and then we found out she was diagnosed with lupus during her
Oh
pregnancy.
no. I'm so
So
sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. We all have our own struggles, but at the end of the day, it's all God's purpose, and whatever that is, if it's sickness and health, and that's what we got married for. We were meant to go through these struggles because it taught us something. It was meant to teach us something, and it was meant to make us better and stronger together. So, um, anyway, she was going through some struggles with that. We finally had our first first child, our daughter, in 2019, and we were still cleaning up from the hurricane. But um, the homes down there, a lot of homes got destroyed. We ended up having to move out our apartment into a new home, and that home ended up having mold and mildew, and it caused a lot of sickness for
Oh
my wife
man.
with her lupus, and my daughter being a newborn. And the hours at the dealership were very long. There was a lot of cleanup. We finally got back to working and everything like that. And um, as a lot of women do, after they have children, she had a little bit of postpartum depression. And
Yeah.
that was something, me as a man, I don't know how a lot of other men are, but I know me as a man, I feel for that. And I had a really hard time watching her go through that. And with me being away so much, we decided to move to Tennessee, and that's where we're at today. That's where I got into the roofing industry. But in 2019, when we moved here, September 2019, um, we were trying to get on our feet. We are trying to recoup from all the medical debt, from the move, everything like that. We almost became homeless there with our newborn
Oh
daughter,
no.
and we're very fortunate that the church that my wife grew up in and that my wife's grandmother works at for the past 46 years, they kind of heard our story, heard everything that we went through, and they gave us a house to live in. They said,
That's
you,
awesome.
you guys live here until you get on your feet. So that was our first struggle, and one of the big lessons in our life that just made us stronger, made us push forward, made us work harder, everything like that to create something better. Regardless of all that, we got into our first house. We did get back on our feet. That church helped us do so, and we're incredibly thankful for all that. Fast forward to 2021, August of 2021, I did bodybuilding and powerlifting and stuff like that. And I was getting ready for a competition, and I ended
Ooh.
up rupturing a disc in my lower back. I almost severed
Oh
my sciatic
man.
nerve. So I had to go in for surgery, and the doctor told me when I got out, they said, "You're very lucky that you got in here in the time you did." After I got out of
Mm.
surgery, they said if it would have been 2 or 3 weeks longer from this period, you would have severed your sciatic nerve, and you would have been paralyzed from the waist down on your right
Oh my
leg. So
goodness.
um, at that point in time, my wife was working a job as a dental assistant, and she uh, she was having a hard time. At that point in time, we had our son already. So we have two kids, as you spoke about in the kind of introduction there. And our son was very young. I was at home. I couldn't get out of bed on my own. I couldn't stand up on my own. I couldn't put my clothes on my own. Nothing. I was absolutely helpless. And I remember one day, my wife came home and she was crying, just so overwhelmed. And I remembered I didn't know anything else to do but pray. So I
Mm.
prayed, and God told me, He said, "You need to look for her a job." And I took that as, okay, I think I know what this means. I just need to look for her a job. Obviously, it's thrown in my face. So I got on Indeed one day, and or that next day actually, and I started searching for a dental office administrator job, or office manager, or another assistant job, just something that would bring in more income, somewhere she'd be more happy. and just kept on sending her stuff. And I remember I scrolled through pages and pages and pages, right? And upon scrolling through all those pages, it just so happened to be that I came across a roofing company somehow looking for a dental job. Um, it was craziest thing to me, but I was like, I got to look at this. I saw really that there was, on their advertisement, they said, hey, there's no education needed. We prefer sales experience, so on and so forth. I remember them saying in the ad, I'll never forget it. They said, our top salesman in 2020 made $318,000. And I was like, oh my goodness. And being the very egocentric young guy that I was like, man, if this dumb roofer can make $318,000, I can make so much more. Um, Turns out roofers are not dumb. They're very intelligent people, and I got to learn that working alongside them. Um, but like I said, at this point in time, I was about 3 weeks out of back surgery.
Oh
Um,
man.
I applied for that job 7 times and I never got a call.
7 times.
7 times. So in my third week, my wife was off on Fridays. She only worked Monday through Thursday. And I told my wife on Friday, I said, I need you to drive me up there. She's like, honey, you can
Wow.
hardly walk on your own. And I was like, I know I can hardly walk on my own. I know I'm still recovering, but this is an
Forget the
opportunity I
seven
don't think we can
applications.
pass
Just
up.
let's just go
Yeah.
up there.
Yep. Yep. So she drove me up there because I still wasn't cleared to drive. I wasn't supposed to be walking upstairs yet or anything like that, but she drove me up there. She told me she believed in me, and I walked up and turned in my resume on the second story of that building. And I said, I didn't get to meet the owner. I walked up and I ended up meeting his administrative assistant. And I put my resume down and I said, I don't know if you guys have seen my resume come through or anything like that, but I'm here to talk to the owner, and I think he's going to want to talk to me after he reads my resume. Well, he gave me a call back really quick. He gave me the job. I started roofing 6 weeks out of back surgery. I wasn't cleared by a
Wow.
doctor. I didn't let, my new employer know that I had back surgery because I was afraid that they'd rescind their job offer. So I knew I had to go through the pain. I had to go through a little suffering, but I knew I'd be great if I just put my mind to it. And I knew God was by my side, because He's what led me to the opportunity when I was looking for my wife a job. And nowadays, I look back at that and I actually understand what He meant when He said, look for your wife a job. And that job was as simple as she was meant to be a mother. She was meant to be at home and take care of our kids, and I needed something that would be able to provide her to do that. So it was a different kind of guidance than I thought it was originally, but now I know. And it's really incredible how he works. And he put me into this position and this opportunity. So,
Listen, there's something about a man praying for his wife, and being sensitive to the struggles that she goes through and wanting to be in that emotional capacity that where she can lean on him, that
yeah,
is that's beautiful.
yeah. I mean, I may be that safe. The way I kind of look at it, I may be that safe. I may be that, fireproof, Loctite, explosive proof, whatever it is, safe that's locked up. But she's always held the key, and she holds the key to this family. She's what keeps everything together.
Amen.
So without us supporting her and me, knowing to just be cognizant of those emotions and
Hmm.
understanding to everything that she goes through, all that stuff may fall apart, and we can't have that happen. I got to be the strength, and I got to be that strength for her too. I got to be there when she needs me. So that's always been an important thing. Um, but same thing happened when I started in roofing there. It was an incredible journey, but I was able to sell $314,000 in roofs. I'll never forget the number. In my first full month in roofing, I became salesman of the month that first full month. And it was really an incredible feeling. I saw the opportunity, I saw the monetary income potential, and I just went after it. 9 months later, I sold $3.1 million in sales. And
Wow.
they came to me and they said, "Hey, we'd like you to become sales manager, but we need you to teach everybody what you're doing." And so they said, the only way you keep your job is you got to add 20% to the sales team. So the first thing I did, that was August of 22. I sat down, I got on Excel. I used the knowledge that I had from Excel, like all the way back from high school. And I figured out how to do averages in there and self-calculated averages to figure out what my salespeople were averaging, how much of an increase per salesman I needed to grow by, if I needed to
Right.
add any more salesmen, everything like that, and figuring out what we were tracking for our end of year. At the time, we
Those
were tracking.
metrics.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's the
Hmm.
most important thing is understanding your numbers. So I
Yes.
wanted to understand my numbers. I wanted to know where we're at, where we're going, and what we needed to do to get to the goal that we had. So in August of 22, we were tracking 9.2 million when I stepped in. Like I
Wow.
said, they told me that you can only keep your job if you had 20% of the sales team.
Yeah.
We finished the year December of 22 at 15.4 million with a 43% year over year.
Wow. Oh
So
my
in August,
goodness.
tracking 9.2, we finished at 15.4. And that was really incredible. We moved into the next year, and that next year we went from that 15.4 million in 22, we finished at 28.3 million in 23.
Wow.
So
Wow.
83% year over year the next year. It was absolute
That's
incredible experience.
amazing.
It was some extreme growth. It was a lot of work, but it was amazing. And, things happen. Some things changed in that company, and there were some decisions to be made, and I was one of those decisions. And
Hmm.
so, actually, I remember to this day, I'll never forget it. The Friday before Easter Sunday, I was on my last roof of the day. I was always a lead from the front guy. Even as a sales manager, I had 18 guys underneath me, and I still got out in the field. I still tried to sell. I wanted to keep myself sharp, and I was on an inspection, last one of the day, and I remember sitting on top of the roof. I felt something off, and it brought me back to prayer again. And I
Amen.
prayed on top of that roof, and I just said, "Man, God, if I'm meant to be here, let me be fruitful in my labor, and let me be happy, and just let me be successful with what I'm doing. Let me provide for my family. But if I'm not meant to be here, just swiftly remove me from this place and show me where I'm meant to be." Um, the next day, I had a company phone, company iPad, my CRM, company email, everything like that. All of it was shut off the next day.
Oh my goodness. God
Yeah,
has a funny sense of humor.
he does. He does. And all of that, Easter Sunday weekend. So we went through Easter Sunday service at church. I came in the next day. They let me go. And so on and so forth, in- incredible change in my life. I wasn't expecting it. I had no plans on leaving. I was very happy where I was at. I was being successful or for where I was at. I was happy to provide for my family and do what I was doing every day. So I guess that comes down to the thing of I never planned on being an owner of a company.
Yeah.
Um, but
It just fell into your
now
lap.
it did. But um, I'd never wish anything different at this point. We're 5 months into the business here, 5.5 months into the business, and it's been an incredible journey. So the kind of story of how we got here is, I go to Bible study every Wednesday, and that
Wow.
Wednesday, the 2 days after I got fired, um, I met a guy, incredible person, very God oriented man, and we didn't really hit it off. We didn't like each other. But I remember, just kind of sitting through Bible study, and we prayed together, and we read scripture, and we left, and, shook everybody's hands, gave everybody hugs, walked out the door. And I was on my way home, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what's next. And I remember him calling me, and he said, "Man, he's like, I don't really know who you are, but I'd like you to come work for me." And I'm like, "Well, I can't do that. I have a non compete, but my non compete only allowed me to start my own business. It didn't
Look
allow
at
me
that.
to work anywhere else. So I couldn't go work for any other roofing contractors. This guy was a roofing contractor, and I couldn't go work for him. I couldn't do anything with him. So I was like, yeah, incredible opportunity. I thank you very much, but I can't. I took a couple job offers, or interviews, I should say, and they were incredible job offers. I remember one was a ridiculous income potential of well over $1 million a year, offered to me on the spot in the interview. Took another one. They said they'd switch up their schedules. Their schedules was through the weekend, Saturdays and Sundays. And I said, there's absolutely no way I'm doing it. They're like, well, we wouldn't do this for anybody else, but we'll do it for you. You're the perfect guy, blah, blah, blah. And that just kind of turned me off. I'm like, that's something that creates a cancer inside of a culture if you're making exceptions for a singular person. Um, Again, I got another job opportunity. An insurance company reached out to me, wanted me to start up a new branch for them. They said, we'll send you to school to get your licensing, and we want you to operate and own this branch. And I think they said like something like $260,000 a year salary, plus you're going to own the branch. We're going to pay for the branch, build the branch, send you to school, get you people, train people, and you're going to earn money based off these people, blah, blah, blah. And something that always resonated in me that I heard one time from a very wise mentor of mine that's again very Christian. He said the devil will always tempt you,
Mm.
but God will always guide you. And
Mm-hmm.
God never makes things easy. He only gives you lessons to learn, and he takes his time to make sure you're ready for it.
That's true.
And so I thought about that in the back of my head after every one of these interviews I went through, and I'm like, I'm just being tempted. Everything that I need to continue providing for my family was just thrown at me. And
Yes.
it it was just resonating on that moment what that, wise guy told me once time. And I talked to my wife and I said, honey, these are all incredible opportunities, but I feel like it's just temptation. I don't feel like it's the right thing. So will you just pray with me and tell me, tell God, pray with me and tell God, like, we need him to make it obvious right now because we don't know if it's him or not guiding us to this place. Like, can he just throw it in front of our faces? And so that guy I met at Bible study that one day who I never saw again, he called me 2 hours later and he said, I know I can't have you. I know I can't work for you, but will you let me invest in you?
Mm.
And I was like, well, I guess you can't make it any more obvious than that. And so he gave me a building, put me on a lease with a building, a commercial building that he had already. He said he had no idea what he was going to do with it. He gave me a commercial lease on a building. He said, hey, first 6 months rent's free. I want you to be successful. So no rent. We're in a lease agreement. I'm going to start having to pay rent at the beginning of the year here, but just that opportunity where he said, let me give you some money. Let me put you in a building. Let's get you under a lease. Let's get you rolling. Let me help you right
You
after
know,
we
the
prayed
thing
again.
is, if if God didn't force the decision to have you pretty much removed from that company, you wouldn't have left. You were too comfortable.
I
That's the
was. I
thing.
was very comfortable. I was
Yeah,
very
I'm pretty sure
comfortable.
you had an exciting life. Everything was perfect. Like the only thing I could foresee is probably you didn't spend maybe as much time with family as you probably wanted to. But in terms
Yeah.
of like providing, you were very well provided for. So I
Yes.
think if he didn't force it, you wouldn't have left. And that's why people always say that if God was supposed to tell us like the journey, we wouldn't want to do it because imagine
Absolutely. Yeah.
building something so great to just pretty much walk away.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's why sometimes we have to be careful what we pray for because God has a funny way of answering.
He does. He does. And it's not always what you want or expect, but it's what's
Exactly.
best for you.
what's best for you. Oh my goodness. Yes,
Yes.
I totally agree.
Yes. So that's where the company came from, and like I said, it's been an ultimate blessing. We've been very fortunate. We started the company. Our first week selling was in July. We got all of our licensing, office open by then, everything like that. Um, hit the ground running. We ended up selling 248,000 in our first month open in business.
Wow.
Right now we are sitting at 912,000 in our first 5 months. We're going to finish the
Wow.
year just over a million, maybe hit 1.1, maybe even hit 1.2 million if everything goes as
Mm-hmm.
planned. But regardless, our first 6 months open in business by the end of the year, we're gonna do over $1 million, and I think that's really, really incredible. I looked for salesmen from the start. I was reaching out to people, and man, I couldn't get any employees. I couldn't start building. I couldn't figure out what was going on, but I was still going to church. And I remember being in church one time, and they said, "Hey, we'd like you to come to Growth Track if you haven't came already." And Growth Track is in our church where we go in and we learn about the church, where they came from, where we're going, and how we can volunteer and be a bigger part of the church. So me and my wife both felt a calling to go in to Growth Track and see how we
Mm-hmm.
could be a bigger part of our church and how we could volunteer in it. Incredibly enough, another family similar to our age, similar kids' age, everything like that. We ended up meeting and hitting it off with this family, and that was my first sales guy.
Wow.
So, and now,
Look
um,
at that. Like he's
yeah,
literally guiding you, directing you to everybody who is supposed to help to build
it
everything.
is. So, now we're up to, I got my receptionist from a guy I used to go to church with back in the day when I was in the Air Force. I had my first salesman through church. Actually, if you look at the connection from every single one of my employees came from something church based, something that I
Oh
was
my
doing with the
goodness.
churches. And now I'm excited to say, next month I'm bringing on another sales rep. He's had
Good.
six
You're
six
giving me
years of
goose pimples.
experience. Yeah. He has 6 years of experience in roofing. He sells over $2 million a year. He wanted to come join. He saw what we were doing. He knows who I was. We've been friends for a little while, and he said, "I like what you're doing, and I want to make a move." So he's coming on next month with us. I have another guy from the car business that I used to work with. He's coming on in the beginning of the year with me. He's coming through Christmas, coming on the beginning of the year. So I'm really excited to see where this is gonna go. I'm really
Oh my
excited to see where it
goodness.
is going so far. But yeah, first of the year, we're gonna be up to 7 employees first of the year. We're gonna be up to 5 salespeople, and if I look based on my averages of the salespeople that I've trained in the past, it was $172,000 average per person. So I'm pulling out my phone really quick because I can't do math that well.
That's
Um,
okay.
but I'll have 5 salespeople, and if we can get them all up and trained and moving in the right time, we're looking at some incredible growth that could put us somewhere around $10 million for our first
For
full
next
year in
year.
business. Yes.
Oh my
And our
gosh.
goal, ultimately, we would be extremely excited if we can touch 6 million.
Mm-hmm.
But I know God's had our hand. God has his right hand on us from the start of this business to the
Yeah.
guidance of us here, and only he knows how far we'll go.
Oh my goodness. Like you brought tears to my eyes with this story, giving me goose pimples over here. Like right now when I get out of this call, I'm gonna have to go into that prayer closet
Yeah,
because now I
absolutely.
feel fired up. Oh my goodness. So to you talk about all the amazing things that are going on. Where do you even find time to work out? Like I can see that you still maintain. Like where do you find time to do that?
Well, there's a guy that I followed and I always kind of looked up to that's like golden era bodybuilding, and he always preached he only worked out 2 days a week. So when I made this transition to
Mm.
ownership, I was like, okay, well, let me start following this. I'll keep eating healthy and I'll just work out full body workouts really hard 2 days a week. And I've
Wow.
been lucky enough to just maintain what was existing by making that simple change and following what this golden era guy, was doing already. So I always look to other people to see what would make things more efficient, bring more success. And I think that's the most important part about just business and life in general is we can't ever stop learning. The moment you stop learning is actually the moment you die. And that's a
Mm,
really rough way of looking at it, maybe a really grotesque way of looking at it. But I look at it like even brand new salespeople that I bring in my door, I may be really good at what I do, but that doesn't mean they won't find a way to do it better. And I
that's
think that's a
true.
huge thing of being an owner or even being a manager of a company is making sure you're always listening, making sure you're
Mm,
always taking into consideration what those around you want, those that are wanting to build with you have to say, because that could grow you as well. That could make everything better. It could make you more profitable. It could make your company more efficient. Everybody has different experiences. Everybody has different talents. And I know I don't have them all.
I love it. It you can tell the difference between a humbled leader and a one who is very prideful. You could
Yeah.
tell the difference because now listening to you, even though you have such an amazing skill, you have such it's at this point it's not even a skill, it's a talent. It's a talent. Like you could see that. It's a talent. Like there's no way like normal people like I've seen startups they struggle. Some of them struggle to even break 500,000 a year. Some of them struggle to meet that first $3 million. Like it's a talent, hands down.
Yeah.
But when you can admit that you don't have all the tools, you don't have all the ideas, there are people out there who can make things better, and you want those people, you want to build with those people.
Mhm.
That alone speaks volume to the kind of character, the kind of leadership, the kind of courage, the example that you're setting for your staff. That alone is beautiful, and not by extension your family. Like that leadership mentality, especially for your son. Like your whole family is blessed to have you. This is so beautiful. I love it.
I
I love
appreciate you saying
I
that.
love this
Yeah,
story.
absolutely. Um, I mean, I think the most important thing is that we all have to work together ultimately. And,
Hmm.
there's plenty of it out there. And I think that's something that, just listening to everybody in this industry and the way they speak, and, it's a very, how would you call it? It's a very small mindset of I need it all. And I'm not that way. It's funny enough, before we got on this call, I actually called one of my buddies who's he's been doing roofing for about 6 years now. He owns his own company as well, but he also does siding. I don't know a thing about siding. Yeah, I could take on the job. I could have took that job. It was an incredible opportunity. It was $65,000 payout on that job. And I could have been like, yeah, I'm gonna figure it out. But it's better to stick with what you know and the people around with you that you can learn. And I said, hey, man, I have this opportunity. It's a $65,000 payout, and I know you do siding. Will you take it on? And if you can take it on and get that job, can I come learn?
Yeah.
So he's like, no, absolutely. He's like, are you sure you don't want to keep it for yourself? And I can give you my guys and they can teach you and we can help you estimate it. I said, no, man. I mean, you need to get paid and I need to learn. So
Look
let's
at
get you
that.
paid and help me learn
Yeah.
from what you're doing because I know you know how to do it. So I think it's, rather than this small mindset, we all need to have this abundance mindset. We all need to work together as owners or managers or just salespeople in this industry and stop trying to take it all for ourselves.
Oh
Um,
my goodness. Listen, the an abundant mindset, like people don't understand that what's yours is yours. And if somebody over here is excited, you're excited for them too because you will get what's yours too. It
Absolutely.
doesn't take away from what you'll get.
What
And
did God say? If you the more whatever you give, you'll get back 10
you get
times.
it Oh my goodness, that's James 6:28. Listen, it's one of my favorite verses.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we
And
all
the
got to
thing is,
live
the
by that.
enemy, yeah, the enemy, he has a way of pointing us to lack. He has a way of pointing us to lack and not let us focus on the abundance that God has given to us. Because even the very first temptation, Eve, it was lack. I mean, she had all the other things, but no, she had to focus on this one thing that God
Yeah.
said not to have. Can you imagine? So this is, oh my gosh, dude, I don't know if you're part of some group or something, but I need to start rubbing shoulders with you because I love this mindset. I love it. Like when you find people who have a mindset that is the 1%, you gotta stick with them. It's the
Right.
1%. Like most people don't think that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I love your story.
Well,
I
thank
love
you.
your story. So apart from adding, that $10 million, what else do you have in store for the business? Like, are you looking to open up a new location? What else do you have going on? Like, what other plans do you have?
I think we have a little bit different idea and different plan for what our business is going to be doing in the future because, like we said, we have this abundance mindset. We know we can't take it all. So
Mm-hmm.
when I think about what our growth is going to be in the future, is we want to figure out those averages for what would be considered a fair market share of each area that we are in. So we're currently in the Nashville region right now, and all we're going to do is we're going to be working over this next year to figure out through maybe talking to manufacturers, maybe talking to suppliers, and talking to other roofing owners, compiling the data of what we see these long-term guys that have been sticking around, what they are doing as far as their overall revenue. If they'll share with us what their margins are, we'd like to know that. But our goal is to ultimately grab what our fair market share is here and go ahead and enter into another location and keep doing the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
grabbing that fair market share. And ultimately, the goal is 10 branches in 10 years. It's a
Wow.
very strong goal. It's a hard goal
Yes.
to reach. There's a lot of people that I've said that to that just told me I'm absolutely crazy.
No,
But
I'm not gonna tell you that.
I think, God on your side, you keep living through Him, you keep having that abundance mindset and giving back to the community, and He's
Mm-hmm.
going to continue to provide. And as long as we're not greedy and try to take it all for ourselves, as long as we only
Exactly.
take our fair share, we're going to be
Your
fine.
gift. Your gift. He calls it a gift. So you take
Yeah,
your gift, you enjoy your gift and you give back what you're supposed to give back. Absolutely.
absolutely.
I love it. Oh my goodness.
But I'll share
If
one
you
more
had
very exciting thing of
okay.
what we plan on doing with our company here in Tennessee. Being a veteran myself, we are actually looking at moving into this next year, starting a nonprofit. And that
Mm,
nonprofit is going to be for veterans and the homeless. And how we're going to establish this nonprofit is also by giving back to the community in a way that I haven't ever seen somebody do it before. So we're still kind of figuring out those little bits and pieces, but in Tennessee, they allow nonprofits to do one lottery every single year. And so a lottery is kind of like a giveaway.
mm-hmm.
So our plan is we're going to do a lottery, something along the lines of, $100 tickets and sell 1,000 of them. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to buy land and build a home on a property. And we're going to
Wow.
give that away to one of these guys who bought a ticket for $100. So we're
Wow.
gonna limit it. It's gonna be one ticket per person. Everybody needs an opportunity. Not everybody's gonna, we don't want people coming in and spending $1,000 buying 10 tickets. We want everybody to have
Exactly.
equal opportunity in
Fear.
this,
Mm-hmm.
equal chance. And that way those people out there who really need it, who maybe all that they can afford is $100, have the same chance as everybody else. And maybe we'll be able to give them a home for free in the next year. With the
Wow.
additional profits that we make from doing this, we plan on giving all that money back to veterans and homeless shelters, helping do things for um, just everybody and anybody who needs that help. One of my partners, or not partners, but one of my friends, my close friends, he was just able to do a brand new roof and gutters with the support of manufacturers and a couple other contractors who helped donate materials and labor for somebody who was really in need, who came from addiction and came from jail and abuse and everything like that, and was able to put a new roof on her head. She has a small child. She just got into this home. She had a leak that was a fire hazard, get into a light, and he was able to do that. But we want to be able to do that, like I say over and over again. My favorite word is abundance. So we want to be able to do that in an abundance. We want to provide for our community and make our community a better place, not only for those who have struggled with addiction and homelessness, but also for those veterans that have served our country that haven't been set up properly, that have struggled to get back on their feet when they got back.
Oh my. Oh my. God bless you. God bless you. And may everything that you're working on, may it prosper. I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. So, if you had one thing that you'd want to say to somebody who is just starting out, in addition to having that abundant mindset and trusting God, what would you say to them?
I mean, great things are never done by one person, right? Great things are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people. And that team of people is never who you think it is. Um, you may have a lot of friends, but that team of people is always going to be those two or three or four people in your circle that will always be there. And, I think it's something my wife says all the time. And when it comes to children, right, is it takes a village. That goes on again, not just with raising a family, but also starting a business. It takes a village. It takes people in that network that are just like you, that would be willing to help you as much as you are them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lucas, for coming on here, for sharing your story, for sharing your experiences, for giving all the insights, like for just sharing like your testimonies. Like this is more than just stories, by the way. These are testimonies. Like thank you so much. I'm pretty sure that those who are listening, they've enjoyed it just as much as I've enjoyed it, from the business aspect to the spiritual side of it. That's very rich. You gave us like, man, I'm gonna have to go into that prayer closet.
It's the best thing you can do every day.
Yes. How can people find you? If they were
Um,
looking, if they wanted to they wanted their roof, they wanted to partner with you, how could people find you?
well, my company, website's provisionroofingrestoration.com. My email is lucas at provisionroofingrestoration.com. You can always reach out to my office. You can find us on Google. You can reach out to my office, talk to my office administrator, and she can get you connected with me. I also have Facebook and Instagram. I know there's a lot of Lucas Millers out there, but I'm an easy one to find. If you see anything about roofing or cars, that's probably me.
Okay. Roofing our cars, people. You hear that? If you guys watching would like to be featured as one of our guests, you have an amazing story, you even have testimonies, you have things that you want to share with other people, hit me up, send me a DM, reach out to me, or you can find me on the Beyond the Trace Talk Show Facebook page. You can click the contact us and it'll get you directly to me. Thank you so much.
Thank